Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm getting into a subject that Igbo elders should have gotten into so many years ago. But unfortunately, our elders are still suffering from trauma. They have not yet woken up. And this is a subject I wouldn't have liked to get into because it concerns a foreign people. I mean the Yoruba people. I usually want to devote myself exclusively to the Igbo people and subjects related to only the Israelite peoples. I can talk about Jews, I can talk about Samaritans, I can talk about Karaites, I can talk about the Beta Israel. But the Yorubas are non-Israelites, so I'm getting involved out of great reluctance. This particular young man, the Ooni of Ife, is taking more than the owner would be comfortable with. I think the elders of the Yorubas should call him to order. The Yorubas respect their kingship, and that is very fine. Accordingly, Igbos should also respect what Yoruba people respect as long as that thing is domiciled in the Yoruba world. Igbos should respect Yoruba culture in Yoruba territory. But this particular king is stepping beyond the Yoruba frontiers, constantly entering into the Igbo world for obviously malicious motives. I've seen the whatever they present as his bio. He is not a historian of the Igbo, but repeatedly he has waded into the origins of the Igbos. And what it could lead to is that Igbo historians, I mean authentic historians, not just Facebook historians, will begin to talk about the Yorubas. And that's not always, the outcomes are not always good. Both people should maintain amity. They are neighbors in Nigeria. They should be in peace. We are not happy to see what's going on in the state of Israel between the Jewish community and Hamas. We are not happy to see what's going on. Nigeria has been like that for a very long time. But most of the violence has not been between, especially since after Biafra, has not been between the Yorubas and the Igbos. And we don't want it to descend to that level. And we don't always know how things will end when they start. I will get into my latest response to the Ooni's claim that the Igbos were Yorubas. I wrote it down, and I will begin from what I entitled my post about. I said, what you don't know about Yoruba and Ooni of Ife. Yoruba myth of origins says all human beings came from Ile-Ife. I'm trying to see the position of this myth, which educated people regard as what it is, a myth, in the Ooni's obsession with the Igbo people. We all know what myths are, especially if we have taken advanced courses in anthropology, religious studies, history. Set of stories that people use to understand the world, but they also tell who you are. If you believe that everybody came from your village, it says a lot about how you see the world. Does the Ooni believe that actually all human beings started at Ile-Ife? We can't say, but I have a temptation to believe he actually believes that the myth is actually history. We don't know how the ancient Romans saw their own myth of origin, which had their founding fathers Remus and Romulus suckled by a wolf. Ancient Romans believed that wolves at a point gave breast to their ancestors. I don't know if modern Romans, Italians still believe such things. Maybe Ooni of Ife actually believes his own myth of origin is actually history. And this must be one of the reasons behind his obsession with Igbos. I believe that this young man may be actually be thinking that since every human being in the world was once a Yoruba, that the Igbos, of course, we are Yorubas. But why picking always on the Igbos? We all went to school in Nigeria. We know the oral traditions of Nigeria. The Hausa people have an oral tradition that the Yorubas were part of the Hausa people. They belong to the Banza Bokoi. But since this man was made the king of Ife, he had never mentioned that the Yorubas and the Hausas had a common history. It's always Igbos. A few years ago, he said he was sure that Igbos began it at Ile-Ife. That Igbos produced Jews at Ile-Ife. That Igbos have the secret of making money. He said these things a few years ago. And I continue, it's not strange that he's obsessed with Igbos. Unfortunately, every Nigerian who has suffered from the kind of obsession that you might connect with anti-Semitism has been obsessed about Igbos. And it's tempting to be obsessed with Igbos. Igbos are vain. Igbos are a vain people. Since the people were decultured, read things all apart again and discover how the British took away, separated them from their culture, they became vain. Anybody can praise them and get their attention. And it's tempting to be obsessed with Igbos, even benignly. The non-Igbos who have managed to lure Igbos into whatever they call religions have smiled to the banks, because some Igbos will unquestioningly support whatever you convince them that they have become. One of the greatest struggles going on in Igbo society today is to convince the Igbo man that he was a full human before he became a Christian. Most don't think that they were humans again, even though with facts and figures, it can be proved that they produced a civilization ahead of every civilization in the world today, ahead of the Christian civilization in humanity and kindness. And these are still things that are easily verifiable. The Igbos remain the only society in the world where everybody had land. Move over to the nearby Ife, where this king came from. He owns all the land and all the people, and he's a god among his people. But among the Igbos, every Tom, Dick, and Harry was given a piece of land, and it's the Igbo religion, Omenara, that took care of this. But because the Igbos were called Christians by the British, it's very, very difficult today for you to convince the Igbos that they are Igbo. They will prefer to see themselves as Christians because that is who they are. They are fanatical. Whatever they believe in, they believe without questions. It's possible that Ooni is actually dreaming that one day millions of Igbos who have begun to believe that they were Yorubas will begin to go to pilgrimage at his domain. And of course, they will spend pounds, dollars, euros, and naira, as they have been doing in churches of non-Igbos. I'm talking in response of the news circulating again. That recently again, he said that he's sure that the Igbos came from somewhere close to his hometown. This is not fair. Ooni, I am older than you. Respect the Igbo people. Don't draw the Igbos into insulting your position among the Yorubas. Leave the Igbos alone. Igbos have enough trouble already. If you want to if you want to build an empire, don't aim to build it with the Igbo people. Leave these people alone. Ooni, I'm appealing. Leave the Igbo people alone. Leave them alone. The Igbos have not recovered from genocide, which you must have read. I heard that you are a graduate. You know that 3 to 5 million Igbos were murdered. You have not spoken about that, and you don't have a responsibility to do so. But please leave the Igbos alone. Thank you.